I always find it a little bit weird that someone would just like go on YouTube and make a video. You know what I mean? Like that, when you hear about the first time when these big YouTubers started, whether it's like True Geordie, who I've spoken to here, or Alfie Days, who I think became like one of the biggest YouTubers in the country, like that first decision to record yourself, usually in your bedroom on a shit camera, talking to nobody,
Yep,
is a little bit weird. Do you know what I mean?
So it is very odd.
How did it start for you?
It started for me. So I harbored dreams of being a YouTuber since about 2009.
Why?
Because I used to follow people like Kurt Schneider and Sam Sui, who were kind of YouTube cover artists. They would produce covers of popular songs, and those covers were amazing. Like they filmed them beautifully, arranged them beautifully. And I had a few friends who were really good at singing, and I fancied myself, I was quite into maths. I liked the idea of playing multiple musical instruments. So I thought, I want to be the sort of YouTuber where I can play along to songs, and my friends who are actually good at singing can sing along to those songs. And that's the sort of YouTuber I want to be. And so I sort of had a few like sort of stop-starty moments over those like next 10 years, kind of trying and failing at this. But ultimately, the reason I became a YouTuber was because it was content marketing for my medical school admissions business, where I was helping people get into med school, teaching them how to do well in these exams. And no one was really creating decent content for free on the internet about those exams. There was these kind of corporations creating boring corporate-looking stuff. And I saw that gap in the market. I was like, great, if I can create these sort of tutorials on YouTube, content marketing, people will watch my tutorials for free. And if they like me enough, they'll sign up to the course. And that's why I started speaking to a camera in my bedroom. It was like, all right, guys, here are some tips for section 1 of the BMAT. Section 1 is all about critical thinking. There's 60 minutes and 35 questions and blah, blah, blah. And here's how you do it. And I was so familiar with that stuff, having taught it for 5 years, that started to do reasonably okay early on. In the days where I had like 51 subscribers, 52, refreshing the YouTube app every day to be like, oh my God, I've got another view. And then it sort of morphed from there.
Was there a tipping point where you thought, fuck, this is going to be bigger than the thing that I intended this to support?
Yeah, that tipping point was my first video that went viral. And it was a video about how to study for exams. This was one of those weird things that I look back on, where when I started YouTube, it was in June of 2017. I knew that I wanted to make this video, this sort of how to study for exams, evidence-based tips, at some point further down the line. It was a topic that I'd researched extensively. People would come to me asking for help on how to study for their exams. There's actually a whole body of like psychological research on this that we just don't get taught in school around what are the actually most effective ways to learn. And so I knew I wanted to make a video about this, but I knew that I wanted that to be like my 100th video rather than my first video, because I knew that I knew nothing about cameras or editing or anything. And I reasoned it would take me 100 videos of being bad at it before I could make a video that was actually good. And I thought to myself, okay, I really want to put everything into this 100th video so that this video can potentially go big. And that's kind of what ended up happening. I think it was my 81st video or something rather than my 100th. But that video went viral. I had like 4,000 subscribers before, just sort of slowly building up. And then over the next few weeks, it just exploded up to like 20,000, 25,000. And I was getting all these comments from people who knew me in real life being like, oh, I've seen your video. I didn't realize you were a YouTuber. And that was the tipping point, which sort of started that exponential growth trajectory that kind of you talk about in the compounding chapter.
Yeah.